focusing on the Sustainable Development Goals implementation for post-pandemic economic recovery. This session will be moderated by Dr. Michael Heng. Please to allow me to take a few minutes of your time to briefly introduce Dr. Michael to you. Dr. Michael Heng served as a councillor of the Mayor's Councils in Central Singapore District for several years. All the community grassroots levels, he was also the Vice Chairman of Thomson Citizens Consultative Committee (CCC), as well as Chairman of Thomson's Community Club Management Committee (CCMC). Both committees are responsible to organize and manage sustainable community development programs and activities. He was recognized on the National Day 2002 honor list for his active community service for over 20 years and awarded the Public Service Medal (PBM) for community service by the President of Singapore on National Day 2002. Professionally, as sustainability expert and certified management consultant, he was conferred the CSR Leadership Award 2012 on World CSR Day 2012 in recognition of his contribution, which has made a difference to people and the community. He also received a Global CSR Leadership Award at the Global CSR Summit 2012 and at the Philip Kotler World Marketing Summit 2013. He also received another CSR Leadership Excellence Award. He is an advisor to World CSR Congress. Dr. Michael, over to you.
Okay, let me share the screen. Hi, I'm back again. Right, our session now is on the SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, implementation for post-pandemic economic recovery. And we have a panel of very distinguished 7 speakers. Yeah, just have a couple of minutes just to introduce the subject. Okay, yeah, you're all familiar with this global UN SDG goals, where there are 230 individual indicators for these 17 goals that you see before you, with 169 targets. COVID has upended at least 8 of those goals. Okay, I will leave it to the fine distinguished speakers to tell you what's happening in their country, right? And this has impacted all of us in so many ways, how COVID linked with SDG, right? So without much further ado, our first speaker is Mr. Hari Prasad Dugana. Now, Mr. Hari is the General Secretary for the International Foundation for Nature Care of Nepal. And I will just now hand it over to him. Mr. Hari, please.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah,
hello.
Please share your screen. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
hello,
can you hear you?
Me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Hello. Thank you, Mr. Michael Heng.
Hi.
Nice to see you again.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, the COVID-19 impact and the challenge is very big in the world. And today, I'm going to speak about this challenge in SDGs. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude and would like to thank organizing committee of second FES Business Forum for providing me this opportunity to represent my country, Nepal, and separating time for me to share something in this forum. I'm also glad to see so many of our friends from Africa and Asia present here today. Honorable President of this peace, Excellencies, distinguished guests, respected dignitaries, and all the participants, very warm greetings and good afternoon from Nepal. I, Hari Dhungana, representing International Foundation for Nature Care, in FC, is here speaking about the current pandemic, its impact and challenges for achieving sustainable development goal. COVID-19 outbreak from Wuhan, China, has now become the worldwide serious concern. This pandemic crisis has challenged every national government, international community. When world leaders adopt the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development in 2015, post-Millennium Development Goal, they committed to a shared vision to set the world on a sustainable path for people's planet, peace, partnership, and prosperity. We all are aware about Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, consisting 17 goals to be achieved in 2030, but due to the pandemic, reaching to target seems impossible in a way or other. According to the recent article published in Lancet, COVID-19 threatens to reserve the progress of SDGs 3, which aim to ensure healthy lives and well-being for all. During the crisis, 70 countries have halted childhood vaccination program, and in many places, health service for cancer screening, family planning, or non-COVID-19 infectious diseases have been interrupted or are being neglected. Health service disruption could reserve decades of improvement, warns the report. Even before COVID-19, the world was losing track to end poverty by 2030 under SDG. It was projected that 6% of the global population would still be living in extreme poverty in 2030, but now an estimated 71 million additional people could be living in extreme poverty due to COVID-19. Likewise, the most susceptible groups are being hit hardest by the pandemic, threatening SDG 10. Most of the world's children have been deprived of formal education since the COVID-19 outbreak, hindering goal 4 of SDG. Access to water and sanitation, SDG 6, remain a major concern where 2.2 billion people remain without safe drinking water, and the COVID-19 crisis has highlighted lack of access to sanitation for billions, which is indirectly linked with the extreme rise of COVID-19 cases, as hand washing, hand sanitizing was one key to prevent it. As according to UNDP prior pandemic, the world was struggling to meet the goal toward environmental sustainability encompassed by SDGs 7 to 9 and 11 to 15. Most countries are not meeting their commitments to limit greenhouse gas emissions. We are in danger of missing target to improve urban environment by reducing the number of people living in slum, increasing access to public transport, and reducing air pollution. Only pro we could point out during extensive lockdown due to pandemic was Earth could breathe the fresh air. These all has been exactly the same scenario for Nepal as well. The problem of poverty, sanitation, discontinued education, and all environmental aspects are in replicable situation. As a non-government organization working for addressing various environmental aspects, and we look forward for the program which could contribute something to the nature and also address SDGs. We have been working in local level of Nepal for proper waste management and biomedical plantation, which can play indefinable role for contributing to minimize climate change, pollution, and enhance greenery. So, in this aspect, I can say with all my experience that reaching SDGs impossible without proper national and international cooperation. The political tensions fueled by COVID-19 and the current global issue like border dispute and international tensions could threaten SDGs 16 to promote peace and safety from violence, and SDGs 17 to strengthen international partnership. So, from this forum, I would like to express myself that let's get united and see the need of SDGs. Define the world we want they apply to all nations and mean quite simply to assure that no one left behind, which has become more challenging to reach post-pandemic. Let us go hand in hand together and make our planet live alive and spread equality and justice all over. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Harry. Thank you for highlighting that nearly 90% of children have been displaced, that haven't gone to school because of the COVID, right? And maybe more than 1.25 billion students are affected. Okay, I shall now move on to the next speaker. Yeah, Mr. Tuang from Vietnam sent his regrets. I think he's still on the plane. So I shall introduce Miss Chris Villanova Libuona. Now, Miss Chris is an instructor in the International Telecommunication Union Academy in the Philippines. So, Miss Chris, are you ready?
Yes, I can share my screen for some reason. Oh, there.
You can share your screen, can you?
Okay. There you go. So can everyone see my screen now?
Yes. Yeah. We did smart city. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So thank you, Dr. Heng, and thanks everyone for being with us today. So let me start with this book. In the book WTF, What's the Future and Why It's Up to Us, Silicon Valley pioneer Tim O'Reilly perfectly puts it. Reinventing the government to bring it up to date with the rest of the society is one of the grand challenges of the 21st century. And I agree with him completely. Sadly, it seems like it's a given. Governments, including local governments, cities, towns, municipalities, or whatever you call it, play catch up in terms of adopting ways of the 21st century. So I guess you can already, guess what I'm going to talk about in the next few minutes. I am here to talk about digital transformation and how can the private and public sectors work together in transforming sustainable smart cities. So again, I am Chris. I'm the Executive Director and Chief Sustainability Officer of the first tech nonprofit in the Philippines, Smart City. And in Smart City, we're making citizens and data the heart of the smart city and community development beyond apps. And as corny as it may sound, we call it smart with a heart. So you hear about smart cities, and I know you might be wondering what kind of cool, new technology apps you can apply in your city to improve the quality of life of the citizens. And I do not blame you. People see smart city as products of technology innovation. And yes, in the 21st century, we're in 5.4 billion. We have 5.4 billion mobile users. Technology can transform cities to become more efficient and better places to live in. We believe in sorry, we believe in smart city, however, that tools like technologies alone would not get the job done. We need to consider technologies as enabling strategies and tools, and the target and ultimate goal is to better the quality of life of the people and not just acquire technologies for technology's sake. Just so you have apps that no one really uses. That's why we need to find the perfect balance between SDG 9 and SDG 11, which is between innovation and being sustainable. Okay, I guess enough of the rambling prologues and reminders. Let us jump in and take a look of at the cool and can be important technologies. I will introduce here several practices on digital transformation within the ASEAN countries. So in the area of education, the use of AI and cloud is rampant. In response to closures due to COVID-19, here are the e-learning initiatives in the region, in the ASEAN region. This cloud-based e-learnings use distance learning programs, open educational platforms, which schools and teachers can use to reach learners remotely. So within health, in the health sector, with post-COVID, it looks like telehealth offerings will become the new norm in the region. In fact, just this September 2020, Singapore-based telehealth company, Doctor Anywhere, raised 27 million investments for its expansion, while Indonesian-based healthcare app, Alo Doctor, recorded more than 30 million active users since March 2020, which is almost thrice higher than the pre-COVID traffic. In the taxation area, which is another important area in public service, AI and fintech are mainly utilized within the region. Here you would see that the various governments have taken initiatives to encourage citizens and businesses to utilize technologies and payment systems. In Cambodia, for example, Cambodia Post launched its own mobile app to allow for payments of shipping fees, utilities, and school tuition payments. In Thailand, the government promotes cashless society through its national e-payment master plan. In terms of the government-to-government target sector, in the administrative sector, cloud technologies are being leveraged by more advanced Asian countries like Singapore, Korea, which pushes for moving. In Singapore, they're pushing for moving to the commercial cloud and has its centralized platform on the Singapore government technology stack. Few governments use hybrid cloud approaches like the Philippines, then Thailand as well. Throughout the ASEAN region, apart from Singapore, Vietnam, and Malaysia, where some progress have been made, AI and IoT adoption rates have been quite slow. There's definitely more work to do in developing markets in ASEAN to achieve higher levels of adoption of AI and IoT. This is because of several reasons like physical infrastructure, data issues, quality of internet connectivity, amongst others. Digital transformation is also explicit in agriculture, energy, and transportation. Here, if we check the Grow Asia website, which is established by World Economic Forum, in collaboration with the ASEAN Secretariat, it brings together companies, government, and NGOs in helping farmers within the ASEAN. And here we can see the agriculture sector using AI, IoT, and big data as well. So with above examples, we can see that Asia is just getting started in realizing the full extent of the possibilities of going digital. But going back to my rambling and reminder earlier, technology is but a tool. And there are a few challenges that we really need to consider. So what are those challenges? First, I guess in terms of technological decision, the government should find the balance between relying on local companies and startups or using the global players. On the financial level, there's this economic issue of data ownership, pricing, and financing of the digital infrastructure. On the political level, the regulation issues of privacy, ownership of data is still under development. There's also a political decision needed whether to consider data as a good or data as a platform. On the social level, of course, promotion of digital and data literacy should also be considered. So what can we do about this? In Smart City, my organization, we believe that we should go beyond public and private partnership and include the people to make the digital projects more sustainable. Below path can be used to achieve such. First is the contextualization and assessment of the needs. Everything should start with the understanding of the population's profile, management, and local economy. This will give direction for the next steps. In Smart City, as an organization, we create a faster way to evaluate the smartness maturity of a local government through our online and offline Smart LGU maturity assessment tool. Here we have a systems approach, not only technologically centered approach of smart cities to gauging the local area's maturity level. So we include SDG, climate change, and DRR components as important components of smart cities and smartness dimensions. So number two, we need to integrate. So at this stage, it is already possible that to define a set of results. So we need to co-create a plan or a project with the government and ensure that it resonates with other existing projects that they have. So next would be, we need to be transparent and indicate the concession models and usage right at the very beginning. The public and private partnership acts as a concession to the private sector for the provision of a service to the citizens. This concession should act on a well-defined models to allow the generation, of course, of the accessory revenues capable of making the business more viable. This requires the city hall or the government clearly establish the concession model at the very beginning and its practical and regulatory mechanism. So last but not the least is we need to future-proof and ensure that the project will go beyond any change of leadership. So how can we do this? We need to consider, since we need to consider the amount of investment, we need to ensure that the citizens have the buy-in of the projects. So we can do that through data portals and other engagement platforms as well. So with this vast, this shows that vast majority of government services in ASEAN are now embarking on their digital transformation. Done right and ethically, these innovations can be a win-win situation, both for the citizens, the governments, and the private sector as well. The growth of smart cities and digital transformation post-COVID means more and more public and private organizations are figuring out ways of working in partnership to benefit both. I am thankful for this FEC Business Forum for creating this network. This is very timely. Collaboration is a key for a more sustainable approach on digital transformation. We need to evaluate our risks and come up with steps to lessen the danger together. So again, technology, I think we need to realize that yes, technology can be a really powerful tool in terms of fourth industrial revolution, post-COVID. But, you know, as a genius once said, with great power comes with great responsibility. So again, I am Chris from Smart City, and together with our partners, welcome to Smart City, and hopefully we will become smart with a heart. So here's our contact info, just in case you guys need to contact us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you for highlighting the need for collaboration in the digital transformation. Right. Let me share my screen again. Could you remove the share screen? Your share screen? All right, our next speaker is Mr. Anthony Simon. Anthony is a senator in JCI Indonesia. Anthony, are you ready?
Yes.
Could you share your screen then?
Sure. Please allow me to share my screen. I think I'll need your permission to share my screen.
Should be okay, right? Let me see. Where's my? Yeah. I can see you.
All right.
Yeah. Can you share?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Good.
In my screen. All right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. I'd like to introduce myself. Myself is Anthony Simon of JCI Medan, and today I'm presenting JCI Indonesia. So the topic that I'm going to bring today is Indonesia priorities. Basically, this is a quote made by Winston Churchill: "Never let a good crisis go to waste." So he famously made the statement when he was working to form the United Nations after the World War II. So post-World War reparation work is massive and required true leadership and international collaborations to bring the world progressing forward after the war. But as we see along 75 years in the journey, humankind experienced a lot of challenges and crises, one after another. In 2020, we experienced global pandemic like never before. It is different. The way the impact that we experience is due to the globalizations, I think, that we have enjoyed for the past decades, like what Anthony Giddens have coined globalizations. And of course that we can see a lot of disruption. So in this afternoon, I would like to take the opportunity to share a little bit about what are the priorities, like what Indonesia have been through during the pandemic, what we have learned, and where we should look at. So therefore, I'm going to talk the topic as an Indonesia priority and never waste a good crisis. So in 2020, I think everybody sees worldwide economic contraction. I think the theme of 2020 is contraction, and thankfully that we are going for 2021 very soon. Hopefully, everything will be well. So this is what we have seen in 2020. The next is that I think the most major one is that economically we can experience that some global supply chain disruptions that we are experiencing. But at the same time, in Indonesia, we have a little bit of optimism as the government introduced omnibus law into practice, into the economic world, into the industry world in Indonesia, that brings a very good optimism in the workforce, that bring up a lot of ease of doing business in Indonesia. Therefore, I would like to talk on the bright side of our economy, the bright side of the crisis that we are experiencing. Our economy is proven to be very, very resilient, as we are very supported by the domestic consumption. So therefore, those companies in Indonesia, we are pretty stable, but except at the aviation sector, tourism, and also that industry that focuses on export would experience a very major blowback. But in majority, Indonesia is doing pretty well, I must argue, even though that we experience like a bit of hiccups in the journey, in our efforts to go for recovery. And of course that with this crisis, a lot of local companies are trying to find a local substitutions because of the global supply chains being disrupted. Also, I think the crisis has provided a very good economic opportunity to many small and medium enterprise. So it's not always a bad crisis. And of course that as we enter the end of 2020, our export destination have been recovering, and the commodity, and so does the commodity price. As Indonesia is still relying on commodity, we experience growth now, and we are very optimistic of the year ahead. But what will be the challenges ahead that we are going to see? because as we are looking at the crisis before, so we would like to come up as a country that is much more resilient and with an economic structure that is much more foolproof. So in 2021, in the context of SDG, we still see a sharpen in unemployment, particularly in 2020. And of course, that this increases the poverty in 2020. But I think this is something that has been experienced by the economy worldwide. And of course, that the challenges is, I think, pretty much similar to the previous speaker, that there is a skill adoption and technology transfer. As we are going from import-oriented, we are trying to find a way to be able to produce our goods locally to substitute the local supply, to substitute the supply chain that was disrupted as before. But the challenges is that how can we absorb the technology and we can do it locally. And of course that sustainability has been a core issues in every, sustainability has been a core topics in every discussions about, but it's always limited on the environment and the CSR aspect. But we wish to see Indonesia, as we experience the crisis, we started to see that we need to bring the sustainability to be integrated as a business model instead of a particular departmental budget that is going to be that is usually promoted in companies or in the economy. So sustainability must be the major agenda that we should fight on. And going to the next slide, what we learned from the crisis is that the business that survives is basically business that able to orient, to adapt themselves to the domestic market. And those businesses usually have the internal growth that have accumulated a strong equity with low gearing ratio, so that allowing them the agility to move. When there is a crisis, they know what are the steps that is to be taken. And of course that it is not something that has focused on the export market. It is a company that has been solid enough, that has been rely on internal growth in the company. So we see that this company come even stronger during the crisis because of the limitations on the import, because of the quarantine that has been applied for the trade, because of there's a problems on the government quarantine and regulations during the COVID-19. And of course and then we see that those that are being laid off are basically those that workforce that have a very low skill workforce that are being laid off. Therefore, unemployment, I can say that it is very, very limited. And it has been pushing everybody to going for upskilling and reskilling. And therefore, as we see that this is the business that survived, we could not say that it is a crisis for an economy. It is a crisis for Indonesia because it does not apply to the whole populations. We start to see that, and we start to adapt. What are the business that survive? So we start to see the business that survive is the business that looking forward in the long run, that have a foresight thinking. What are they going to be in the next 5 or 10 years? And then what would they do if suppose the similar pandemic is going to happen again? So these are the kind of the business that every businessman are start to looking. And therefore, we start to see the sustainability model is beyond the corporate social responsibility. It's beyond CSR budget. It is beyond CSR department. But it is the integration of the business model that creates an added value to the company itself. And of course, adaptiveness. We wanted to make sure if suppose that there's another pandemic in the next 5 years, we are ready for that. So it is a very strong message that is given by the pandemic that are given to us everywhere in the world. And of course, that sustainability, if we are going to take the approach this way, we will start to see that there is a creation of new economy. I think one of the most prominent one is the circular economics. And then from this point, we started to understand talking about sustainability is not something that, because the management wanted to go for sustainability that brings added value to the company, I can just immediately switch the company to do so. But it requires a commitment of the management that willingly to adopt technology. So when we are talking about technology, it shouldn't be taken as I am going to adopt technology because the importance of digitalization. It is very important, but it needs to serve the whole company, the corporation's agenda, the government institution agenda. What are they looking at? So sustainability to be put on top of the mind of the agenda, but what can be, how this sustainability can be turned into a profitable agenda means that we will need agenda of mechanization. We need to use technology to simplify things that were found to be difficult, and it became something that is easy to be done, and of course that adding value to the business processes along the way. So this crisis accelerates the tech adoption and switching from the labor intensive to capital intensive, therefore boosting new industry for the replaced laborers. So often we see when it comes to the new technology, they will create another unemployment, but it's expedite, it coerces the economy, the workforce to move from the low added value skill to a high added value skill. Therefore, these are the things that the government should be ready to embrace. So yeah, this crisis really pushed the economy to look at the real value, to the real message of how the economy should look at. I mean, the crisis, the pandemic have proved vividly explained to us, showing us that how the economy is really are. Those that were inefficient were definitely taken out in 2020. So I think this is the powerful message of the that we have. Therefore, it comes to my conclusions that the Indonesian priority should be on three aspects. The three aspects will be the education and technical training. So when the more educated we are, we should think of the business not as any other business, not business as usual, trading, something that's very, very transactional. But we start to look at added value in every aspect that solve the problem in the community and also the environment. We are not talking about the economic growth itself. We are not going to talk about the market development and the market growth. We start to think about how, when I produce responsibly, how I can consume responsibly, but by the same time, I can create a new economic value, and I can also protect the environment. So education will be able to open up the mind of the people. But to have those open mind, we also need a technical skill that the population able to adopt, that the acquisitions of the technology should hit to a critical mass that will be able to create a sufficient movement to create a new economy that we are going to see. And I believe that this is going to be something that is very, very fast happening in the country, looking at the technology and how the government has been very committed for the technology like IoT and AI. So I think this is something that we should see, and the government has been working on it. Indonesia has launched its Indonesia AI strategy, and I've seen it myself, and it is a very good one, and I'm very, very confident. The second one is on the research and development, how the corporations at a local level, at the corporation level, would like to spend on the research and development so that can bridge the needs from the market and to be bring into a business model, research and development to be one integrated solutions that will also bring not on the business model, but also on the environment and sustainability. And the third is corporate innovation. So the company should start to look at the doing business beyond the normal practice. We start to see how I can help, I can improve my workforce, how I can provide education, how my company, when I'm helping the company, it will also give value to the operations. I think the company should start to think of how, when I develop a new product, this product will be good enough and will be able to be contributed to the circular economy. Therefore, like for example, a plastic waste of mine can be easily sorted and can be easily recycled and can be used as another new product that has a higher value. So this will require innovation at the corporation level. We should not wait on the government level. We should start it on corporation level. I think this is what the Indonesian company started to realize, and I think it should need a strong and solid leadership to push forward the agenda. So I think these are the three priorities that I think that the Indonesian corporations are start to look at. And at this opportunity, I would like to encourage collaborations across countries on technology, be it on production technology, it can also be sustainability, a change of mind and concept on sustainability, and how we can make into realizations, and of course, adding value to the business process beyond a corporate social responsibility. I think that is the three priorities that I wanted to deliver. And to end my speech today, I would like to engage the business community to focus on the efficient, to focus on the efficient process, to focus on the efficient cooperation, to focus on the efficient business operation. Because in 2020, we see that the pandemic has made it lay naked that those that are inefficient has been proven to be a barren. A government has put on the stimulus recovery fund and so on. But if you're putting on those that are failing companies, it will not create a multiplier value into the it will not create a multiplier effect into the economy. So the one that is going to fail, I think we believe that would not be able to help much. But the company, the government should start to support on those that are efficient and make it and scale it to another level that will improve the economy even better. But a part of all that is the spirit of collaboration. I think that is pretty much my speech about economic collaborations and the Indonesian priorities that's pretty much inspired by Winston Churchill, that never waste a good crisis. 2020 has given us a lot of messages and a lot of learning points, and I think the history will repeat itself. We are going to face another crisis in any time soon or later, but we got to embrace ourselves and make sure that our company has been innovative enough to be a sustainable company. Yeah. So I think that's pretty much everything from my side. So yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anthony.
Thank you.
Yeah, indeed, never waste a good crisis. I like your very wise insight, looking beyond sustainability and technology to suggest that we need a very holistic approach, right, post-COVID for recovery and business continuity. I think that's very interesting. I think those who wants to ask questions, could you put the questions inside the chat box and then we could take it out at the end? Yeah. Let me just share my screen. Okay, why I cannot share? All right. Next speaker is Mr. Dr. Mureshwar Shuhade. Right. Dr. Mureshwar is the director of Forest Agrobiotech from India. Dr. Mureshwar, are you ready? Yeah, good. Good to see you. Can you share your screen, then you can proceed.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Michael Yang.
Thank you.
Respected dignitaries and participants to this forum. Really thankful for giving an opportunity to share some of the views on the priorities in the post-endemic era. I would like to share some of the priorities based on the whatever we have the learnings impact on the government, on the Indian economy as well as the health sector, and what could be the priorities for the countries or the economy, and then how to share it, and how to address the with the economic collaboration. I'm basically a banker. I was in Reserve Bank of India and also the director of the one company that is Flourish Agrobiotech, manufacturing the biofertilizer, biopesticides, micronutrients, and PGR, basically required for the agriculture sector. So far as the India is concerned, like other countries, it is severely affected because of the COVID-19. And in India, around 10 million people are affected. Yes, 10 million people are affected. And really, it has halted the economic activities and the movement of the people, actually. Based on the whatever the impact it has created on the lives of the people in India, it has some learnings from the COVID-19. Looking to the severe effect or the impact of the COVID-19 in India, around 52% of the patients or the cases were in the 5 states. They are the developed states, and we call it the gateway of COVID. Despite the poor infrastructure, 0.9 beds for 100 population, 1,000 population, and doctor ratio 0.7 for the 1,000 population, recovery rate is 95.40. Some of the states which have the literacy and the scattered population have the less impact of COVID. These are the lessons that for the developed countries and the developing countries, there could be the differences in the impact as well as the even strategies and the priorities also in future. But one thing it is very clear from the crisis. This crisis demonstrates that individual and the government are capable of strong and rapid in responding to the overarching challenges. I think that is what the surfaced the learning from the crisis here. Agriculture sector in India, particularly, it was not affected because the Rabi crop was almost ready, but only some factors which have some kind of impact on the shortage of the labor and the transportation of the goods from the field to the various areas because of the lockdown. The learning again when very severely impacted was near 120 million migrants moved from the cities to their villages because of the lockdowns. And that miserably, a large section of the low income individuals have suffered a lot. Private consumptions came down due to the loss of their income. That is the impacted the economy and the income level has come down. In India, particularly, this work from the home culture started. It was in the skeleton in the few industry, but now it has taken shape for working from the home. One important thing, so far as the environment is concerned, I think it is the really surfaces, the rivers, water bodies, and that pollution of these sources, water sources, have improved a lot during this lockdown period. Quality of the air improved, and social distancing restrictions on gathering, that is affected the social gathering. It may vary from the country to country. Really, India has some impact, and whether we can have the learning lessons or the possibilities or the opportunities to have the collaboration. COVID-19 is really the war mainly vexed with the health sector. I think it has the in India so far. So far as India is concerned, I think it has severely affected this health sector. But besides the life of the people, I think it has the far-reaching impact on the economic and social fronts. Stress on the health personnel and civic bodies to man the discipline or the discipline the people was the important factor there. Informal sector workers, basically, which is near about the 90% in India, that they hit very severely, and the wages disappear. Severe impact in totality in the Indian economy has been seen. The growth forecast 1.9% in 2020, down from the estimate of near about 5.4%. Trade, it has reduced or come down by 13 to 32% as per the WTO impact. Low collection taxes, development disrupted since the priority is towards the life saving of the people and the normal economic activities. It is estimated by the ILO near about 400 million people at risk of the sinking deeper into the poverty. And less funding of the social programs that has impacted the social empowerment and social concern and values of the self and society totally change. These are what these impacts. So based on this, whatever the learning we have because of the COVID-19 during the last 8 to 10 months, and also the impact created on the health, economy, and social, I think there could be there are the possibilities or there are the priorities has to be decided, one by the respective country, and second, to address such issues, I think collaboration with the economy, which definitely requires that one. Some of the things which I have the priorities, would like to share with that is the health. So far as the India is concerned, and in some of the developing countries and the less developed countries, I think that may be the situation also. So infrastructure development for the health sector, whether we can see as a opportunity for the economy, for the various countries, developing countries and the developed countries also, to share their knowledge, technical know-how, as well as the support for the infrastructure development in some of the countries which they are lacking in such infrastructure. I think one thing very clearly now focus is every country has to give the nutritional importance for the nutrition aspects to focus for the better health, and that creation of the awareness, then education, health quality, I think that is what the collaboration definitely looks forward, and we expect that each country will share their experiences, their knowledge also, and educate or create the awareness among. Clean water, clean water, clean air, primary health should have the focus. I think this is what the learnings, based on the learnings, what are the priorities we have to decide. I think that is what most important factor is. I think along with the health or the life of the people, there is definitely the economic crisis where there are the economic stimulus, therefore required. In India experience is, suppose you take that 90% informally employed, they are the vulnerable to the economic shocks, and therefore the policy towards the economic improvement is required, and there we can see the opportunity by all these countries, whether how we can share with that and how we can economic improvement could be done for it. And so far as this India is concerned, the industrialization mostly taken place in the cities. I think that could be the possibility in other developing countries too. Now the migration of the laborers were also from the cities to the countryside, and therefore I think that is the time, or this is what the policy, or this is what the priority required by the developing countries or the less developed countries, to have such kind of policy, to have the decentralization of the economic activities, moving from the cities to the rural base or the countryside. As in, this will arrest the migration of the rural population in the cities, which will reduce the burden on the civic facility also, as well as the living standard of the people. I think that is what one collaborations and strategies or the priorities are required by the government, by the countries which they are facing the problem. Recycling and repair modes of the consumption, I think that has to be prioritized. In the country to country, they have to prioritize that one also. How you have to consumption mode they have to repair. If you have to build up the economy, or you have to reboot the economy, definitely we require to see the recycling and the repair modes. Fiscal mechanism, basically it is from the government to have the economic resilience. MSME, particularly, it is got the setback. And so far as India is concerned, MSME is the backbone of the economy. And near about 40% of export trade is from the SME. Now the formal credit with is to be made to bring them into the track and make them supportive to the Indian economy as well as the export trade. That means definitely requires the collaboration. Aviation and auto sector need support to recover. I think at present also the aviation sector, particularly, it has to sort out still the international flights have not started, and which was one of the service sector that has severely affected, that needs to give the support to recover it. Credit stimulant package, although it is declared in India, may not be sufficient and needs support for operational viability. Industry sector, how they can become operational viable. I think that is what the required is, and that is what the priorities has to be decided. Stimulus package for the private sector investment and their investment. I think involving more in the private sector, involving the private sector and their investment. I think that is to be. It is again one for the green economy. We should have the priority for the renewable energy like solar through the appropriate policy measures in business mode, and that requires to avoid this pollution and also environmental impact. I think improving public transport for the green energy is very much required. Yes. Storage and evaluation, supply chain, that is to strengthen, and that is the priority. During the COVID-19 and the pandemic period, we have seen also a sector which have really supported to the people so far as the food grains, vegetables, I think with the available supply chain. But to have the in future strategy, to have the regular supply of the foods and vegetables, I think supply chain has to be improved so that the it can reduce the burden, it can reduce the losses to the farmers. Social development is one of the important factor. Yes, because of the COVID-19, it has severely affected us. Distancing from the peers. Again, it is the culture based. So far as the culture in India is concerned, I think it is the living together was the culture. But now, because of the 10 months, your dislocation or the isolation from the peers, friends, and relatives, I think that has to be reviewed. But so far as the people in mass is concerned, I think it requires the social safety, like the insurance and the pension. Work from home is a new concept, and the need comfort in behavioral change and policies. I think that is the new thing. It may not be the new thing for the developing countries or in other countries also. And so far as the India is concerned, it has started in very few countries, few companies or the establishments. But now this has posed to start the work from the home. This needs definitely the behavioral change of the employer, employee, and also the policies. I think digital has played a really important role during the shutdown and the lockdown. whatever the communications were reached to the people, it was the social media and also the connectivity, digital connectivity. I think this is the really the priorities has to be given by the most of the developing countries and the developed countries to develop the infrastructure for the digital connectivity. And this is really the required the most priority also, because it has the advantages. People have enjoyed the advantages of such development or the digital connectivity. I think so far as the digital connectivity, it should not be in the isolation only for the communication point of view, but it is reinforcing. It requires the reinforcing the connectivity between the health, environment, and the economic activities. I think these three factors, which are the backbone of the any Indian economy or in any economy, I think it requires the focus or the priority to build up the relations or the connect with each other in the health, environment, and economic activities. I think these are some of the views which I I have shared with you. There are the opportunities definitely in the world over to have the collaboration in the less developed, developing countries and also the developed countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Sukadi. Yeah, now we all appreciate, understand better how India is coping with COVID-19. I think the measure you outline is very useful, not just for India, but for some of the smaller countries in Europe, even in Southeast Asia. Thank you so much. Our next speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Our next speaker is Mr. Irfan Awad. Yeah, he is actually a blockchain expert, but essentially he's a very acclaimed business architect. He himself actually he owns several patents, in fact. So we are really talking to somebody who knows technology, who knows management, who knows business, and who have integrated technology with business. Right. So it's very refreshing to listen to somebody who bring in this perspective on how we can deal with the digitalization as also sustainability in the midst of the COVID pandemic. Well, Irfan, are you there? Could you log in? You go ahead and share. Yeah, thank you. I don't see your picture though. Okay, go ahead.
Hello, gentlemen.
Yes. Oh, okay. See you now.
So basically, there are many thoughts, and I prepared a brief slide, and my whole interest to present is to have more discussion on how things are getting to new normal and how India is adapting to the post-COVID scenario. So what was the impact? Basically, if you ask, the largest GDP contraction ever in Q1, which was in April, and that is a major concern for us in India. Sharp rise in unemployment, stress on supply chain, decrease in government income, collapse of the tourism industry, collapse of the hospitality industry, reduced consumer activity, plunge in fuel consumption, rise in LPG sale. So, India had the similar impact the way we had it globally. And it was really difficult because nobody has anything planned or nobody has assumed the world will be like this. So further from here, major companies in India such as Larsen and Toubro, Bharat Forge, Ultratech, Grasim Industry, Aditya Birla, Bajaj Tata Motors have temporarily suspended or significantly reduced the operations. Young startups has been impacted as funding has fallen. Fast-moving consumer good companies in the countries have significantly reduced the operations and are focusing on essentials. You see, all these big companies are having such a social hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you. Yeah, please go ahead. We can hear you.
Yes. Okay. So mostly of these big companies are socially connected with the people, and these companies bring the better morality while they are in action. Okay. Can you hear me properly, Mr. Michael? Is
Yes,
it audible?
yes. Yeah,
Okay.
loud and clear, loud and clear.
Right. So fast-moving consumer good companies in countries have significantly reduced the operation and focusing on essentials. Stock market in India posted their worst losses in history. So what impacted is more on the morality of the people, the way they used to do it before. So while rebooting, what is more important is the COVID crisis seemingly provides a sudden glimpse into the future world. Okay, so nothing we can take it for granted hereafter. Anything is possible anytime, and one in which digital has become a central to every interaction, forcing both organizations and individuals further up the adoption of curve almost overnight. So adoption and agility is the new frontiers, the new skills to adopt. The luxury of time now seems to have disappeared completely. Business that once mapped digital strategy in 1 to 3 year phases must now scale their initiative in a matter of days or weeks. So what happens is that decision making has become super fast. Agility is a new word. In a recent survey, about 70% of executives globally they said pandemic is likely to accelerate the pace of the digital transformation. So the way we see people, the way we see the market, the way we supply chain was going, the way cash flows were being managed, entire thing has been changed drastically. People are the asset of the organization, and then people operating from home becomes a new normal. But it posed the new challenges. Bandwidth availability is the biggest challenge we had in India. Then none of the time Indian households were such a smart housing complexes were never ready to have a smart office setup at home. People adopted and they changed and they moved quickly and adopted well to the new requirement. And government also has given some kind of a incentivize by making electricity available all the time, and it made really possible for the people to operate from the home. To the market, people has to make a really smart choices going ahead, because liquidity, cash crunches, and availability of cash was the entire game and entire scenario and change. Like ensuring the safety and well-being of the employees' workplace is essential. Addressing their concerns is in an open and transparent manner. Engaging them and reassuring the business continuity is the major challenge for the market. Global trends were already starting to turn old rules of industrial age management on their heads, introducing new, more human-centric principles that truly put talent and people at the heart of organizational success. So entire game plan has been changed. With respect to a supply chain, a long-term partnership, internal partners, the entire supply chain has to be reshaped to manage the crisis. And we need to see the long-term perspective and short-term perspective. What is beyond influence, uncontrolled, we need to bring within the sphere of influence and within a control. So that becomes a major challenge as a supply chain. Similarly, cash flows are becoming an essential because the funding game had changed. So adoption of digital currency, a digital this thing has become a center point while working or while going ahead from post COVID crisis. Major challenge what I feel is a mindset of the people, because people has to adapt so many things so quickly. People has to adopt working from home. People has to adopt operating without office support. People has to adopt not seeing the faces they used to see in the office, or not being so social, and they have to work introvertly. So there are this post-COVID scenario has more challenges and more positive aspects of it, because all of a sudden game plan had changed, the dimensions had changed, and we need to get more adaptable to growing needs of the work in a cluster, work in a small group. We need to learn more new skills, as our previous speaker emphasized, to adapt new COVID skills or a post-COVID skill. And at the end, I would like to say is that we should not take anything granted hereafter. And we need to develop that civic sense that we need to be ready for fast decision and agility. That's all from my end. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think it's very enlightening from the perspective of technologies as well as a business expert. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Okay, let me share. You took back your screen. Let me just share mine.
One moment.
Well, I'd like to take this this opportunity to thank all the speakers for this. We have a couple of speakers who lost us along the way, but I think we have a lot on our plate now. Some of you are very quiet. I'd like you to put your question, if any, on the chat box. Then later, hopefully we have some time to address those questions. Yeah, you can address to the speakers or just generally. Yeah, so thank you so much. I shall now hand the Zoom to Dr. T. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Michaels. Again, I'd like to thank Dr. Michaels for moderating the sessions and all the speakers for the fruitful sharings. So before we proceed to our next plenary sessions, we would like to take a 15 minutes break in between. So ladies and gentlemen, the next session will start promptly after 15 minutes. See you soon.
Vâng, anh thấy chưa? Nó vẫn đang giải lao. Xong đâu? Nó không. Nó bảo em phát biểu không thì em bảo không.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We will now continue our programs today with the third plenary session, which is also the last plenary session of the day. This session will be moderated by Dr. T. Ching Sing. Together with the speaker will bring us through the socio-economic system in the post-pandemic world. Let me introduce to you Dr. T. Ching Sing. He is well connected with most of the Asia, Africa, and Latin America's politicians, regardless ruling or opposition, business leaders, and international organizations. He has worked steadily at various levels of the political, business, and United Nations affiliation system. He has focused on several key portfolios areas including political and policy making participation, foreign affairs, national ecological safety, urban planning, social housing development, and international disaster aid. He is the founder of FEC Business Forums, and currently he serves as Vice Chairman Youth Wings of International Conference of Asian Political Parties ICAP, Head of MCA International Communication and Diplomacy Bureaus. He is also the strategic partner of UN Human Settlement Program. During his long service in international politics and business arena, he has been given audience with many senior politicians and government leaders, and also been awarded Knight of Golden Lotus of Khmer Royal, ICAP 10-year service medals, proclamations on contribution in clean energy and green solution by the Mayor of Kansas City, USA. Over to you, Dr. T.
Thank you very much, Yifang. Okay, friends, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, I'm chairing the plenary 3 session with the title of Social Economic System in the Post-Pandemic World. So as we know that in this COVID pandemic, okay, a lot of people is talking about the effect of the economic. And but don't forget, you know, our social system is also severely affected. And today, in this plenary 3 session, we have 7 speakers, which from Nepal, from Armenia, from Bangladesh, from India, and Philippines, Thailand, and Indonesia. So let us begin with one of my very long-term friends, who she is the former Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Ministers of Nepal, Honorable Sujata Koirala. So, madam, how are you doing?
I'm fine.
Yeah, thank you for always, your support. And now let us begin to listen to Madam Koirala. And yeah, I forgot to, to introduce also Madam Koirala, also the daughter of the first Prime Minister of Nepal. Yeah. And a very, very popular Prime Minister. Madam, please.
So I would like to congratulate the Peace and FEC for organizing the second Future Economic Collaboration Business Forum. And my sincere thanks to Mr. Chanas Noon, the President of Peace, and our good friend, Mr. T. Ching Seng, and FEC Secretariat inviting me to this forum, and cordial greetings to all the distinguished guests and participants. As we all know that the world is suffering from COVID-19 pandemic, it is hard to escape completely from this, but the world is slowly returning back to new normal. There is some slowdown in infections and death rates in many countries. I hope the vaccination, which we are eagerly waiting for, will be available soon for the public. This pandemic is not only changing the individual's economic and social order, but global order also may enter into a new direction. During pandemic, mortality cases and health-related issues are threatening us, but post-COVID challenges of social and economic infections will be more catastrophic. It is more difficult for developing countries like Nepal to tackle the situation and already started to face the big economic challenges, fluctuation in the market price, trouble in the hotel and tourism, which Nepal depends on, and weakening foreign exchange income and reservation indicates the dark side of coming days. One of the pillars of Nepali economy is remittance, but the rate will be definitely decreased as most of the employees are returning back to country. The government must consider and prioritize the respective areas to support and boost up the country's socio-economic condition. Mainly should focus on agro-tourism concept as well as extraction of natural resources, which we have lot in Nepal. Those who are focusing on traditional farming and returning migrant workers can be deployed in integrated scientific agriculture system. I think we should encourage for organic farming to produce healthy, nutrient and quality food. Additionally, if we promote to produce herbal medicines, aromatic plants that can contribute for GDP also. Especially young people are most vulnerable to unemployment. Okay, the positive part of this disease is bringing people together and to the realization that we can't fight against such pandemic by drawing the line in between different religions, different communities, different castes and different genders. Therefore, we must come together to face the challenges and explore the opportunities collectively. And beside all this, if I tell you a little bit more about Nepal, we have to focus, like we have no access to internet, we have no access to Wi-Fi in remote areas. The children are suffering from this. They don't have online system. Almost 1 year, the children have not been able to go to school, which we have to really think about. And another thing is connectivity. Transportation is very weak in South Asia. So now the pandemic, we have realized that we have to more focus on digital system, transportation system. Although we are so close to each other, we don't have so good communication system either. So and then we have to build our infrastructure, improve health system. And the one thing I think in Nepal, people are talking about, people have learned, people have been very, Nepali people are very dependent and also very lazy and always depend on the foreign countries. So they do everything for them and they are a little bit spoiled also. So now people have realized we have to stand on our own feet. We have to work hard and not always depend on foreign countries. And our domestic market need to be improved. And we have so much resources, so many things we can do. People are, that is the positive side of pandemic in our country. As a proverb, every cloud has a silver lining. Let's have a step and action for the socio and economic transform in post-COVID era. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Yeah, as madam mentioned, yeah, COVID actually no discrimination. Okay, regardless nations, races, poor or rich. So we need to work together, yeah, to against this pandemic. So now we move on to Dr. Aman. Dr. Aman Azrumanian from Armenia. So Aman, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Yeah,
I'm here.
Dr. Aman is the former Deputy Transport Minister of the Armenia, and now the chairman of the Institute of Nations. So we'd like him to share something regarding the how is the social and economic impact, okay, for this COVID pandemic in Armenia. So, and we also know that recently, you know, there was a conflict in Nagorno-Karabakh, yeah. So between some land dispute issues. So will this actually affect, you know, these the whole society, you know, and also because of this pandemic? So Aman, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Dr. T. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, and good late evening to all our colleagues around the world and all my friends. I can see that there are my friends here doing this, participating in this panel. Hello, hello, hello to everyone. Dr. Michael, hello. Great opportunity to meet all again. And thank you, FES, for this great opportunity for this forum and for sharing all these thoughts that we have all over the world. Yes, Dr. T, the issue that was happening with us last almost 2 months, there was a war about 44 days, which was absolutely a tragic thing. And we were fighting the COVID-19 together with the whole world, but we were not only fighting COVID-19, but also we were in a war and fighting, and there was a big problem. So there was a problematic issue, but it's all at this stage, at least the war has been done. There was aggression from Azerbaijani Turkish military alliance, but now it's finished almost. We'll see what's going on next. Hope everything will be in a peaceful situation and we will live in a peace and prosperity. And I don't want to go into the politics here. I just want to mention that during this 9 months, we were all in the problem with the COVID. In the beginning of fighting with COVID, Armenia was doing not that well. One of the reasons was that we were preparing our nation for the constitutional reforms, and during the campaigning, and there were lots of issues which brought Armenia to the issue that many people were infected, and there was big numbers in the beginning of spring. But here where I can mention that in one scenario, this was a very, very not likely beginning, but at this stage at least, it came to another scenario. During the war, there were many people infected during the wartime, so this affects on our on economy, on everything. But at this stage, we can consider that so almost the active people of Armenia, at least half of them has been already infected. Not me, by the way. Me and my family were not infected. So I'm really worried about what's going on next. We'll see. Also, the COVID problem brought us to lots of other issues that the expectations about the economic growth was really high for 2020. And for 2021, we are expecting about the economic activity decrease about the government says about 6%, but the professionals think about 7 to 10% for this year. And for 2021, we do think that many things will be changed. As I also already mentioned, after the war, we do think that there will be economic growth for 2021. We do think so. We really hope about the tourism development. So this will bring our economy to another level. We do think so. So professionals do think so as well. And we really hope that there will be big investments in Armenia in 2021, mostly about the second half of the year. In what concerns the business, so I think you know that in Armenia lives about 3 million people, but we have a big, very huge diaspora, which is about 10 million people living abroad. And as we can understand from the feeling that there will be not only foreign direct investments to Armenia, but also the Armenian diaspora is going to invest in Armenia. So after this problematic 2020 year plus the war situation, there are big hope that 2021 will bring us to a new level of investments and growth. So this is what we have for now. Many of our friends who are participating at this conference has been in Armenia. They saw the opportunities which we have. We are in one case, in one scenario, we're located in a as we say, in a center of the world, and we can be a gateway, a bridge between Europe, Asia, and Middle East. So we do consider ourselves to be as a point where people can meet. So we do hope that this dream of us will come true. At least the basis of our dream will be established in 2021. So we are finishing this year with lots of headaches, with lots of problems, with lots of tragic things that happens, but the hope is big, and not only the hope, but also the economic numbers shows that 2021 will bring us lots of developments. Generally, this is it. If there are some questions, I would lovely to answer. Dr. T.
Thank you, Aman. So I think the last time I was in Armenia was last year, 2019, right?
2018, actually, Dr. T.
End of 2018.
Yes. There was a big, if you remember, there was a big investment forum in October 2018. Yes, many people all over the world came to Armenia. Yeah, so that was October 2000.
There is a big investment forum that we organized in Armenia. Yeah. So thank you very much, Aman, for your sharing. And anyway, it's not easy for you because you are fighting the invisible enemy, COVID, and you are fighting the physical enemy also. Okay, thank you very much. Next, okay, we have been actually, today I have another speakers from Bangladesh, which is Mr. Mahbub Alam. Okay, he is the only one now who are physically sitting beside me. Thank you. Okay, from all the speakers. even though he's Bangladesh, from Bangladesh, but he's not actually escaping here because of the COVID, but he's physically present here because he's staying in Malaysia, and he is the director for the Bangladesh Malaysia. This is a Chamber of Commerce and Industries. Okay, so let us invite him, Mr. Mahbub, to share your view of the social and economic impact for Bangladesh. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. T. Second conference of FEC Business Forum at Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Honorable President and Chair, Mr. Nai, Honorable Vice President and this session moderator, Dr. T, one of my best friend, honorable panelists and all the participants and member of FEC. Hello everyone. At first I thanks to having me here and greetings from Bangladesh and Bangladesh Malaysia Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We all know that now we are passing a pandemic COVID-19 situation. So it's a greeting of Almighty. We all are still now safe and secure. According to recent conditions, there will be more changes, more competition in the world. Now I talk about some recent issues. Socio-economic system in the post-pandemic world. The COVID-19 crisis has exposed the vulnerabilities of individuals, societies, and economics, calling for a rethink of how economic and social activities are organized. The crisis calls for a strong response based on solidarity, cooperation, and responsibility. Social economy organizations put social and environmental concerns at the heart of their business model, prioritizing social impact over profit maximizations. They are driven by a mission of serving the common good, protecting the general interest, and increasing individual and community welfare by organizing their activity in a different way. Measures and instruments in the consolidations phase promote organizational changes and offers assistance to adjust operations so the new realities. In order to address these issues, governments are implementing the following initiatives to support social economy organizations. Continue process of easing access to finance for the social economy. That is number one. Number two, support with access to market. Number three, develop the necessary skills in social economy organizations. Number four, better coordination between various government agencies. Number five, improved visibility of the social economy. One of the assets of the social economy is its potential to bring systematic change. Social economy actors are close to grassroots communities and are among the first to spot changes in society, including behavioral changes. There is also a high expectation by citizens that the recovery should be fairer and greener compared to the recovery following the 2008 global financial crisis, but it would require better collaboration and changing priorities. To help the social economy play its transformational role, policymakers could consider the following policy options. Number one, provide financial resources for social economy, organization that promote social innovation, and to adapt business model operations. Number two, increase public procurement schemes with a focus on sustainable and inclusive social procurement. Number three, develop a common vision and promote collaboration with the social economy. Number four, continue to increase the visibility of the social economy through development of tools to help organizations evaluate their impact as well as share data and best practice. During the first few weeks of the crisis, government efforts focused on ensuring the survival of social economy, organization and developing new partnerships crucial for the delivery of basic services. Most countries applied, including Bangladesh, an approach involving one or more of the following elements. One, financial support to help with fixed cost via grants and easily accessible loans. Two, deferral schemes for taxes, social security contribution, and rents for public space. Three, job retention and unemployment support schemes where put is placed by the majority of government to implement short-time work schemes seeking to preserve jobs at organizations that experience a temporary drop in demand for services or products. Provision of information on support schemes, that is number four. Number five, tools for collaboration. Six, distribution of personal protective equipment such as hand sanitizers and face masks to social economy organization, prioritizing those working in the health and care sectors. 90% of the world's economies will expect to see contractions this year. This severe downturn means countless people across the world, including Bangladesh and Malaysia, will suffer illness, loss, jobs, and livelihoods. As example, there are promising signs that Bangladesh and Malaysia is relatively better off riding it out. The economy of the country relies on sound fundamentals. The blow has all been tempered by a diversified economic structure, a stable financial system, and efficient public health response, and constructive macroeconomic policy support, although we expect the economy to see a strong contraction this year. GDP to fall by 3.1%, including an especially sharp contraction in the second quarter, considering the immense uncertainty. So recently, that means the governments and the publics there is very much care about all the health matters. So because of this, like say today's data I will be share with you. Test positive rate below is 10% now for the 4 straight days. But today's date is 25 peoples. New cases 1,318. Recovery 2024. But still, that means in our Bangladesh, the peoples are moving around and doing their works because of the health sector. After the independence, that means our continuous, all the presidents, they take the initiative to give the vaccines to the children is from their after born. So they are very strong enough. You can see there is a lot of poor peoples and the general workers and others in the country itself. So they are very much less affected rather than the higher class also rich people are affected. So these things is a good signs for us, like our Bangladesh and our neighboring countries. They are like they give the lockdowns and they give the permissions to work all the peoples and every sectors. So this is the one good thing. So which is now we see in Malaysia also they give the lockdown, but there is the reopen back the economics if economical works and everybody is continuing. So because of this, the peoples are it can be work and can be earned something. Like say if those who are earning the daily wages basis, if they stop the work is 2-3 days, they doesn't have any savings to work because they earn today, like say the $10. So $10 is if they not work 2-3 days, maybe they can sustain. But after 2-3 days, if they not work, they cannot sustain. So these are things is very much important things to take the initiative, all the parties and the government bodies. So for the better the pandemic world that is out. So thank you very much to giving me the time, and thank you to the all. And as I'm representing Bangladesh Malaysia Chamber of Commerce and Industries, so we are very much concerned about between these two countries and through by our all the friend countries, those who are participating today is with us, along with us, and all the dignitaries and different countries. So we are always welcome you to in Bangladesh and as well as Malaysia to look after to the improvement of this during this COVID-19 pandemic time. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. T again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mabu Alam. Thank you for your sharing. Actually, I agree with you. For this pandemic, we can't lock down forever. Yeah, we can't lock down forever. So we have to live with the new norm, and we have to adapt to this new norm and this situation. Okay, and we also heard that this pandemic actually makes a lot of poor people become poorer. Yeah. So next, I would like to invite Mr. Ishak Mastura. Mr. Ishak Mastura, he has more than 15 years of experiences in trade, industry, business and investment. Also the policy making in the Mindanao, which is the southern part of Republic of Philippines. Okay, he had been the chairman and the managing head of the regional board of investment of the autonomous region of Muslim Mindanao, and now so-called the Bangsa Moro RIMM. Okay, and he also recently appointed again to the same office under the new BARMM by the interim chief minister. So as RBOI chief, he presided over an unprecedented registration of about P24B investment in the region. So, and currently he served as the economic cluster head for the ARIMM regional cabinet. So, Mr. Mastura, we are actually awaiting you for more than a year, right? Actually, he's supposed to be present to join us in the last FEC, but due to some urgent matter. So, but we are very honored and precious to see you this time.
Thank you, Dr. T. I was represented at the last FEC, the first conference by Francis Manglapos. And for this forum, the second forum, he also asked me to present. In this time, I can be present because of the wonders of technology, which is the Zoom video conference. So I'm very thankful for inviting me and allowing me to present, if not in person, at least you can see my face, you can hear my voice, and for that I'm grateful. So if you are familiar, my region is in Mindanao, and it's an autonomous region. It's in southern Philippines. For Malaysia, you are quite familiar with our region because Malaysia was the one who facilitated the peace agreement between the Moro Islamic Liberation Front and the Philippine government, and that took around 17 years. In a place like the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, where we are in a post-conflict environment, the COVID-19 has hit hard our economic integration and connectivity to the rest of the Philippines. the COVID-19 pandemic hit us during a period of transition from the old autonomous setup to the new autonomy law, what we call the Bangsamoro Organic Law, following the conclusion of the peace agreement between the MILF, or the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, and the Philippine government in 2014, which peace agreement was facilitated by Malaysia as third-party facilitator after 17 years of peace negotiations. The economy of the autonomous region is largely agricultural, consisting about 50% or more of the regional economy. However, the region is mostly engaged in subsistence agriculture. Ironically, this allowed our economy to survive amidst the collapse of the service economy in the Philippines. The Philippine economic profile is around 70% of our GDP consists of consumption. That's because we have a huge diaspora, the so-called overseas Filipino workers who send remittances to the country, and because we also have a strong business process outsourcing industry. This is the one that at its simplest form is the call centers, what you call call centers, but has also improved so that it actually does a lot of things that are outsourced from the information communication technology industries. So that means that a lot of the economy of the Philippines is based on services. And as you know, during this COVID-19 pandemic, service economy actually collapsed. And most countries who have services as their foundation for their economy, particularly consumption, has experienced this downturn because shops were closed, particularly in the tourism, entertainment, leisure industries, and even recreational activities. This has all suffered. So you can just imagine in the case of the Philippines, as with 70% consumption, this really hit us. So in the case of the BARM, our low base of economic development means that we cannot go lower. So during the pandemic, our subsistence agriculture allowed our people to be self-sufficient. But as I mentioned, the COVID-19 also hindered our economic integration process to national markets in the Philippines, as well as to neighboring countries, because of lockdowns to contain the pandemic. Transport of goods and logistics were disrupted as a result of the lockdowns. The Philippines have had the longest lockdown in the world, starting in February. And the restrictions during the pandemic have hit the economy hard. The Economist magazine says that the Philippines has experienced the most economic scarring among the various countries hit by the COVID-19. So we are on top of that list. Philippine GDP has gone down to 10% according to most economic measures. And that's all across the different groups that are measuring economic development. It's around 10%. Some are even worse, but I would average it at 10% economic decline. And that's the worst in the ASEAN region, probably only topped by Thailand. But it remains to be seen because we are still in December. So we'll see by the end of December which economy will be the one hit most by this economic downturn. However, in the case of the BARM, we have a chance to build an economy that is not focused solely on GDP as the measure of progress, but more importantly, is based on the real economy or real assets in place in our region. We believe that this kind of economy would be based on Islamic banking and finance, or some call it the halal economy. Last year, the Philippines passed the Philippine Islamic Banking Regulations Act, and the central bank has moved surprisingly fast in coming out with rules and regulations for Islamic banking operations. Islamic banking is based on real assets such as oil pipeline or a building. As such, Islamic banking has a natural limit because it is based on a physical limit or finite world. Under Islamic banking and finance, there can be no speculation or making money through an interest-based system. Malaysia plays a leading role in Islamic banking and finance in the world. I remember that former Prime Minister Tun Mahathir has pushed for the creation of a financial system based on an Islamic gold dinar, precisely underlining the finite nature of our planetary resources, because gold itself is finite and scarcity has given it economic value throughout the ages. Islamic banking and finance was largely untouched by COVID-19, and the halal industry has also thrived during the COVID-19, highlighting again its resilience as what happened during the 2008 global financial crisis. In the BARM, we seek to make halal economy as a foundation of our new economy as the only Muslim majority region in the country. Towards this end, we are the only region in the Philippines that can give fiscal incentives and non-fiscal incentives for the halal industry and for investment operations of Islamic banking and finance investors under the Investment Priorities Plan 2020 signed by President Duterte last month. In our region, we want to leverage the BIMP IAGA, our closest neighbor, the Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, East Asian Growth Area. They recently signed RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, halal, and the move of the Indonesian capital from Jakarta to Kalimantan. We will continue agriculture-based economy, but we do not want to have monocrops like oil palm or Cavendish bananas. Cavendish bananas is one of our biggest exports in the region, but we are also looking at rubber, rice. We are a rice growing area. We are also a corn growing area and cassava growing area. As I said, 50% or more of our economy is based on agriculture. Because we are aware of climate change risks, we are also very conscious of food security. Food security has gone into the forefront of a lot of countries' concerns, particularly during this COVID-19. And the Food Agriculture Organization has warned that there will be more food insecurity in the years to come if we do not pay attention to the needs for more agricultural production. Philippines is the biggest importer of rice next to China. In our region, we have the Ligawasan Marsh, Pulangi River Delta, Lake Lanao, and Lake Buluan, which freshwater resources are growing in importance for the food and water security. In fact, we are top 10 producers of rice in the area because of this rich delta and rich water resources. In terms of power, the biggest hydropower plants in Mindanao are located in the BARMM. And we are talking about the Agos Pulangi hydropower complex, which can generate up to 1,000 megawatts and is considered as the biggest renewable energy infrastructure for the Philippines. And because of that, we have a comparative advantage in terms of cost of doing business, of cost of the electricity in our region. As a region that is least developed, we can be early adopters of the new economy and emerging technologies without burdensome legacy costs, particularly in the fields of information and communications technology. Right now, we are still the poorest region in the country, and we are still considered a conflict-affected region. But our most serious challenge is education and how to capacitate and train our human resources. The Philippine education system is trailing the rest of ASEAN, except for a few other member countries. And within the Philippine education system, our region is at the bottom. So we will be facing a lot of challenges in the future. And the future remains very uncertain. But as we have learned in the long decades of being a conflict-affected region, survival in itself is already a victory in the current epoch of the world, which some scientists have called the Anthropocene. With that, I end my presentation. If you have any questions, then I am open for discussions and answering it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Isha. Okay, by listen to you, I have one question here. Okay, so due to the the pandemic, okay, then actually most of the country, the economic is actually severely impacted. Okay, so then this will lead to the job retrenchment, especially for the FOW, right, the foreign overseas workers of Philippines. So how will it affect the remittance that they send back to the countries, and will this impact the domestic buying powers in Philippines?
Thank you for that question, Dr. T. In fact, this October, the record will show that the remittances increased in the Philippines because during hardships, during hard times, the OFW, the Overseas Filipino Workers, send extra money. And as much as possible, they try to make ends meet, and they work in their countries, in other countries, in the what you call the health sector, particularly in the Middle East. So these sectors were not affected. In fact, they are the necessary manpower for other countries, particularly in the Arab countries and even in Malaysia, and only those in the industries such as the entertainment, wherein we also have a lot of overseas Filipino workers. But those in the domestic industry, for example, household workers, those working in as nannies, as maids in the Middle East and in Malaysia, they are considered essential workers. So they were not severely affected. Then we have also professionals, engineers, especially in the IT field. These are now considered essential workers as well. So what we really experience is the downturn for the seaman, the one in the marine industry, because a lot of these ships were cruise ships, even transport ships, were idle during the lockdowns. But now they are returning. So in the experience of the Philippines, even though we are in the midst of crisis, there is still cushion from the overseas Filipino workers. What we have seen also is that the BPO, the business process outsourcing industry, is still very strong, particularly during this pandemic, wherein everything now is outsourced, and it seems that everything is moving to a virtual or online economy, and we have the necessary human resource potential for that. But I'm only talking with regard to the BPO in the more developed areas. In our area, for example, in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, we have also a huge OFW diaspora, mostly in the either in the professional field or in the domestic helper field, and mostly in neighboring countries or in the Middle East. So that has not stopped; it has continued, and we have experienced less repatriation or return of workers from those regions or those countries.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ishak. So now we fully understand. Actually, even during this pandemic, just like Mr. Ishak mentioned, especially like in health sector, actually, the demand is higher. Thank you, Mr. Ishak, and we're looking for you then for the next forum. All right. So next, may I invite Mr. Korakut Kunklin. He is from Thailand. He's from Thailand. He's the director of the Bureau of the Interior for the Sam Nusati Global Corporation operation. Mr. Korakut, are you there?
Hello, yeah, I'm here.
Yes, yeah. You can. Do you have any share screen?
Are you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clear. Do you have any share screen or?
Yeah, you have a
Yeah.
share
So you
screen?
can open your share screen now.
Hello everybody ท่านประธานที่เคารพท่านสุภาพสตรีและท่านสุภาพบุรุษการแพร่ระบาดอย่างรุนแรงของไวรัสโคโรนาทั่วโลกในขณะนี้ทำให้วิถีชีวิตเศรษฐกิจและสังคมของมนุษย์เปลี่ยนแปลงไปอย่างมากอย่างที่ไม่เคยปรากฏมาก่อนและไม่คิดว่าจะเกิดขึ้นมาก่อนทุกอย่างเปลี่ยนแปลงไปหมดในขณะที่พวกเราต่อสู้อย่างยาวนานเพื่อลดช่องว่างในสังคมนั้นเพื่อให้เกิดความเท่าเทียมกันในมนุษย์แต่เรากลับต้องเจอกับนโยบายใหม่โดยการมีการเพิ่มระยะห่างกันระหว่างในสังคมเกิดขึ้นดูเหมือนว่านโยบายนี้กำหนดเพื่อให้เกิดความอยู่รอดของเผ่าพันธุ์มนุษย์แต่มันกลับทำให้เราจะต้องอยู่ห่างกันออกไปมนุษย์เริ่มมีความเห็นแก่ตัวขึ้นเริ่มนึกถึงความอยู่รอดของตัวเองมากขึ้นเราเกิดความหวาดกลัวถึงขนาดจะต้องมีการทำลายสัตว์บางชนิดเกือบทั้งหมดเพราะกลัวว่า จะเป็นพาหะที่นำโรคไปสู่มนุษย์มากกว่าครึ่งของธุรกิจเกิดการล้มหายตายจากมากกว่าครึ่งของเมืองที่เคยมีผู้คนพลุกพล่านกลับเป็นเมืองร้างหลายครอบครัวยังต้องเสียบุคคลอันเป็นที่รักจากไปอย่างไม่มีวันกลับต่างๆเหล่านี้ล้วนเป็นบาดแผลในมวลมนุษยชาติที่จะต้องจารึกไปไว้อีกนานสรรพสิ่งทุกสิ่งเหมือนจะมีการหยุดนิ่งเพราะโคโรนาไวรัสเราปฏิเสธไม่ได้ว่าเรากำลังเคลื่อนไปข้างหน้าทุกคนจะต้องเดินไปข้างหน้าเพียงแต่ว่าจะมีใครบ้างที่จะค้นพบวิธีเหล่านั้นในขณะที่หลายธุรกิจล่มสลายแต่ก็กลับมีธุรกิจมากมายที่สามารถเติบโตไปอีกได้จำนวนมากนั่นต่างหากที่เราจะต้องกลับมาถามตัวเราเองว่าเขาทำได้อย่างไรอย่างเช่นธุรกิจการค้าขายออนไลน์มีผู้จับจ่ายใช้สอยสะดวกมีสินค้ามากมายให้เลือกซื้อได้ในโลกนี้สามารถจัดส่งได้ถึงหน้าบ้านโดยที่เราไม่ต้องออกไปข้างนอกบ้านการซื้อสินค้าบวกพ่วงด้วยระบบการใช้ชำระเงินผ่านโทรศัพท์มือถือก็เป็นอีกวิธีการหนึ่งที่เป็นสิ่งที่ทุกคนสามารถจะทำได้ในปัจจุบันและก็เป็นมาตรฐานใหม่ในการดำรงชีวิตใหม่ภายใต้ภาวะการระบาดภาวะไวรัสโคโรนาในขณะนี้นวัตกรรมการสื่อสารในยุค 5G ทำให้ชีวิตประจำวันของเราในโลกนี้ดูเหมือนจะสะดวกมากยิ่งขึ้นการใช้ช่องทางเหล่านี้เข้ามาในระบบการผลิตระบบสวัสดิการสังคมเป็นทางเลือกที่ดีอีกทางหนึ่งอย่างเช่นการใช้ IoT หรือ Internet of Things ในโรงงานในสวนการเกษตรเพื่อเพิ่มประสิทธิภาพการผลิตและประสิทธิภาพของบุคลากรปัจจุบันข้าพเจ้ารับผิดชอบในส่วนความสัมพันธ์ระหว่างประเทศของโครงการ The African EEMS ซึ่งโครงการนี้ก็ได้มีการลงนามความร่วมมือด้านนวัตกรรมเหล่านี้ไว้เป็นจำนวนมากข้าพเจ้าพยายามจะหาแนวทางในการที่จะมารับงานที่เกี่ยวข้องในเรื่องนี้ในประเทศไทยว่าเราจะมีวิธีการใดบ้างที่จะสามารถใช้เทคโนโลยีเหล่านี้เพื่อให้เกิดผลมาสู่ประเทศไทยได้ในฐานะที่เป็นต้นกำเนิดของงานวิจัยที่สำคัญหลายอย่างของโครงการโดยเฉพาะอย่างยิ่งด้านอุตสาหกรรมการเกษตรและก็สวัสดิการสังคมข้าพเจ้าคาดหวังและมุ่งมั่นเสมอมาว่าข้าพเจ้าต้องมีการพัฒนาตัวเองและต้องมีการพัฒนาบุคลากรขององค์กรเพื่อนำประเทศไทยไปสู่ยุคของความมั่งคั่งและความมั่งคงอย่างยั่งยืนให้เคียงข้างไปกับนานาอารยประเทศให้ได้ข้าพเจ้าขอฝากความปรารถนาดีและส่งกำลังใจมายังท่านทั้งหลายให้ผ่านพ้นวิกฤตนี้ไปได้ด้วยกันด้วยความปลอดภัยเพื่อก้าวสู่ปีใหม่ด้วยความหวังดีให้เป็นที่สวยงามของทุกท่านเสมอกันขอขอบคุณทุกท่านและสวัสดีครับ
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, severe pandemic coronavirus has been spread all over the world, which unexpectedly changes our lives, including economy and society. It turns this world upside down. While we have been fighting to induce social gap for equity, unfortunately, the world threw us to a new policy of social distancing. Although it seems to save our mankind, on the other hand, it separates us. Selfishness spreading like a disease. We only think about surviving our own lives. We separately, desperately live in fear, even to destroy other species, just because we are afraid that they might carry disease to us. More than half of business has collapsed. More than half of tourism cities have been abandoned. Many families lost their beloved members forever. These are serious pain, which is left burying in our man history. Everything seems stumped. As you can see, we cannot deny that we are literally moving forward. However, is there somebody who are finding the way that we could live with it? Even though some businesses are settled down, some are rising up. Here is what we should focus on, how to of those business. For instance, online business model. As you can see, people do shopping online and products delivered to your front door within a few days later. The innovation of communication, 5G, makes our life easier and more convenient. The advantage of using those innovations with manufacturing system and welfare service is the best choice. For example, the benefits of IoT applying in factory or in farm state to increase the product's quality and to enhance staff potential. At this present, I hold the responsibility of global relation organized by the African EEMS, and many innovation projects have been launched by the organization. I attempt to figure this way out before taking a role that relates to Thailand. There are some ways to take up technology as a part of important research of these projects to light up my country, especially in the part of agriculture industry and social welfare. I hope and always will to improve the potential of the organization on purpose to lead Thailand into the new golden era of wealth and stability, shining on the shelf of civilization. I wish all the best to encourage everyone to survive through the crisis. Together, we hopefully leap into the better new year. We are generating our beautiful future with no one would left behind. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your translation, and also appreciated so much to Mr. Korakot, yeah, for your sharing of the impact in the social economy in Thailand. So let us move to one of the next speakers, which is Ms. Vibawari. Ms. Vibawari is from India, and she is the head of the Instrumentation and Control System Department of MB Technologies. She is also the associate partners. And for the past 24 years, she is actually actively involved in teaching of engineering mathematics, design and development of data acquisitions, as well as in the testing and validation of automotive components. Ms. Vibawari, so we are waiting for you. So how are you doing?
Yes. I'm doing very fine, sir. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. So we are all here. So we want to listen to you, and we see
Yes.
that.
Yeah, sure. I'll just start my presentation. Good evening, everybody. And it's so nice to see so many people who are working together for some good cause and without expecting anything out of it other than to serve the mankind in its best way. So without spending much time, I'll just share my screen. go to the first slide. I was just going through it for the final time before I deliver my talks. So yeah. Today's topic, which is given to me, is socio-economic system in post-pandemic world. So how are we going to deal with it? We all know that our Prime Minister, respected Narendra Modi ji, he believes in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that is, world is a family. Vasudha is earth. Eva means emphasize, and Kutumbakam means family. This is a Sanskrit proverb. So we all, the global citizens, we are one family, and through this COVID-19, we'll have to fight back with our whole system as one family. We will have to take up this challenge. As we all know that COVID pandemic has resulted into almost 4.3 million confirmed cases and more than 2,90,000 deaths globally, which was a very disastrous thing for a human civilization. And with this, we came to know what is the value of human life and how we shall deal with it. How much priority shall be given to health sector, that also we understood with this. This picture itself is very elaborative. There's a bay in Tokyo, and we can see pre-COVID situation and post-COVID situation. I don't have to say anything about this. It's itself is declaring everything. What happened in for the economy? If we just check the value of cancelled orders, it might quadruple to $4 billion. Remittance is likely to decline because in pandemic, oil prices are falling. Lockdown may lead to job losses. NPLs will rise very soon, and they will contribute to liquidity crisis. Government shall start direct and indirect cash transfer scheme for low income people. If we just really want to check how can we help the needy people, and we need to engage the government to government dialogues between the countries also. So these are just some basic ideas, but if we just go through it, how are we going to rebuild this socio-economic system after COVID-19? The pandemic has highlighted the fragility and complexity of the global system. Two major factors that will assist countries in the post-pandemic recovery, they will be high level of positive peace and favorable economic conditions before the pandemic. The countries that will be able to recover fast will be those who are having well-functioning governments, high level of human capital, favorable economic conditions, low level of debts, low level of unemployment rate, low tax revenue, and low dependence on international trade. Localized markets will play a major role in recovering this economy faster, as well as the social life can come back to normal. Sound business environment shall be provided, equitable distribution of resources shall be there, acceptance of rights to others, good relations with neighbors, free flow of information. These will also be the key points to reframe this new structure in post-pandemic era. The positive peace framework will offer a way to structure thinking on how to reconstitute the fabric of socio-economy. In this case, there will be three major sectors that we will have to address: micro, meso, and macro. In micro, it will be consisting small systems like families, the relationships, and individuals. In medium systems, there will be organizations, communities, political parties, and ethnic groups. And in large systems, there will be nations, legal systems, and economics of the globe. So let us talk about this macro system today. Time is very limited. It's just 10 minutes. So I have just taken up a few things. Social structure pattern of relationships and institutions, we will have to reshape that. Social interaction, that is exchanges between individuals, their expectations from the society and towards the society. We need to reframe that also. Also, shifting the patterns that characterize a society will be different now after post-COVID situation. What should be done at each level to effectively respond to COVID-19? So at macro level, rapidly we will have to adjust our national policies and to deal with other countries. Also, we will have to set our priorities, that which sectors shall be given top priorities and more funding shall be given to those sectors. Target our resources, find out what can, in which best ways we can use our resources. Then we will have to ensure multi-sectoral responses. We will have to take into picture all the people who are dealing with different kinds of industries, as well as smaller industries, as well as larger industries. At meso level, we will have to develop partnerships to ensure integrated and inclusive system-wide response. At micro level, we will have to support those frontline workers who are not. Yeah. So at micro level, we'll have to support the frontline workers, those who are not really associated with any particular unions, or they are working on daily wages basis or something like that. Also, in social networking and as well as in social work, we will have to again work at 3 different levels. At micro level, we will have to establish contacts with individuals and families. At meso level, we will have to be working with, we will have to work with the groups and organizations such as schools and businesses and neighborhoods and hospitals and non-profit organizations. And at macro level, we will have to work towards large-scale systematic change by crafting laws, and we will have to have government community funds to organize activist group and everything like that. Also in COVID-19, we have noticed one thing, that women can be very good players in critical situations. So girls and women must be on the front and in the center in emergency responses. This is a very, very important point, and I emphasize on this, that we must give equal importance to women power. Obviously, if we talk about this macro industry, the very first thing that got affected is agricultural sector. Agricultural sector observed a global crash in demand from hotels and restaurant, and commodity prices, we have observed they dropped by 20%. So we will have to check that panic buying shall not complicate the particular scenario once again by predicting the shortages. Actually, there is no shortage. Only thing is distribution network has to be established in a well manner. Supply chain management shall come forward, and they shall be able to deliver the goods at doorsteps. So portable farming can be one step ahead. We can see IoT, which is a smart farming. Farmers will have to think about this. Let it be small farmers or big farmers, but smart sensing and monitoring, and just maintaining their crops in a proper way, and then supplying those to their to the local markets as well as to the global markets by having good storage facility also. So this smart way of working can definitely raise them from this particular situation. If we think about petroleum and oil sector dampening demand for oil, that has called oil price war, and it's really very dangerous. It can be advantageous for economies, but in long run, this is not going to work. We'll have to think about this. In manufacturing sector, the turnover is declined in next 2 quarters. Also, we will see the same trend. Importation issues are there. Staffing deficiencies are there. Good people, the skilled people, skilled manpower is not available. Disruption to supply chains and self-isolation policies has hampered this particular sector very badly. For many roles in manufacturing companies, working from home is not possible. This is another challenge which actually even we are facing in my company, that we were trying to do lot many things from home, but it was not possible because you cannot do welding process at your home, you cannot do any other grinding process at your home. So obviously some processes which are supposed to be done at that shop floor cannot be done from home, and then we have to interact with people, although it was a COVID scenario. So if we think the timeline of industry revolutions, we will have to immediately start implementing industry 4.0 norms, and we will have to take a step forward towards smart industries. This is what is one challenge which we'll have to take very shortly, very immediately, and we'll have to act upon that. If we just try to embed these 5 P's in our company, that is portfolio, strategy, and product, which will be in line with this new demand after post-COVID situation. People and culture, we will have to embed the culture and in people, that is, okay, we are working together, but of course we'll have to keep social distancing, although we are supposed to share good knowledge and good database with each other. Processes and systems will have to define once again. Maybe paperless offices and digital things will come into picture more prominently. Performance metrics, we will have to set targets and we will have to work in line with that in a shorter span. Positions and engagements, we will have to think about good manpower and how can we place them in a proper way so that we will get more output in lesser time. So all these things we'll have to think about the industry. Healthcare sector was the one which also observed a lot of things in this particular 10 to 12 months, last 10 to 12 months. The problem was the health workers were at the greatest risk and they were not having even their life insurance done. So then government had to take steps to ensure their lives. It was a big threat for them. We didn't have any good ICUs, or we didn't have any provisions for ventilators. We only had some good hospitals in big cities, but what about villages and what about small towns? So we will have to think about this, and we will have to invest a lot of funds in providing good healthcare facilities at every stage in every single village, as well as in a town, or as well as in cities. Of course, in automotive industry also, the impact is very high. Recovery period is going to be very, very long because the demand for automotive is going down and down every day. People have no money to spend on new cars, so they are just using their cars which are 10 years, they have bought 10 years ago or something like that. So EVs, electric vehicles, they are rapidly coming into market, but the prices are high. So we need to think about that how can we have cheaper ways to get good EVs, and how people will take a step further to go for green transportation. So automotive industry has a lot of challenges to face in coming eras. Then in aviation industry, the same thing, wave of cancellation, drop in demand, and social distancing and restriction of travel, global border closures between countries. It affected this industry, and it is a real hard hit industry during this last 10 months we have seen. So they will have to take good measures to attract their travelers back to them, as well as they will have to provide good services. Of course, they will have to check what exactly they will earn, but they will have to think about the ticket rates definitely. Then in hospitality and tourism sector, I think this is the hardest hit sector in this particular thing. Almost 50 million jobs in the global travel and tourism, they can be at risk. That is what is predicted by European countries. International travel could be adversely impacted by up to 25% this year, and this is loss of 3 months of travel. Of course, just hospitality and tourism is a sector, but depending on that, aviation, agriculture, manufacturing, supply chain, everything gets hampered. So this was one industry where people were willingly spending and that got hampered very badly due to this COVID. We really need to extend our hands to support this industry so that they will come up very fast. I guess Thailand and Vietnam and Cambodia and all those countries, they will be knowing the importance of this, because when I visited Thailand and I saw that beautiful country, I just felt so good. Malaysia was one example. I would really like to visit Malaysia once again. But right now, I cannot even think about that. So this way, we will have to just keep going and supporting these people. Sports industry also got hampered. We see that in COVID-19, Euro 2020 football tournament is cancelled. Tokyo 2020 Olympics is postponed. Australian Grand Prix is postponed. Golf, tennis, athletics, everything. And with the sport industry, it happens again that tourism hampers. Then the sports equipment manufacturing industry is getting a lot of crisis. They are struggling for their existence. We will have to see how can we develop that economy also in a faster way. New normal, we will have to just think about how we will come back soon. Every individual will have to contribute towards this. We will have to come up in a positive way that, okay, no issues, I will keep myself in a good health and I will try to get or I'll try to become a good hand towards just getting my economy back to normal. This is what I feel everyone shall think about nationwide as well as globally. If everyone is taking one step ahead, we can definitely do something good and we can come out of this COVID. I really thank everyone for giving me this opportunity. And on behalf of NB Technologies and this FEC Business Forum, I thank everybody for listening to me so patiently. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Vivawari. Yeah, you are right. Actually, regardless in any level, micro, meso, or macro, yeah, all levels must collaborate.
Yeah.
So it is a role and responsibility of everyone. So now we always say that,
Right.
what can your country do for you? Now is the time for you to do something for your country. Okay, thank you very much. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Johnny Goh from Indonesia. He is the Deputy Secretary General of the INTI Sumatra. Yeah, Mr. Goh, please.
Thank you. Dr. T, did you hear me clearly?
Yes, I hear you clearly.
Thank you
Yeah, do you
for
have any share
our
screen?
outstanding. Yes,
Yeah, okay.
I have.
All right, so
Just a
you
moment.
can on your share screen now.
Okay. Can you see, right?
Yes, we see clear and loud and clear. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dr. T, for being our outstanding moderator today, and as well as you are also the Vice President of the Peace. Probably I've only got 10 minutes. I'll set my stopwatch for the 10 minutes in front. Today, I would like to present, probably the details is already expressed by all of participants already, but I like to take another point of view. Thank you for inviting me to the second Future Economic Collaborations of Business Forum. Actually, we are hoping that we could meet at each other at KL, but it's okay. I'm happy also to see you from the Zoom. Now, I'm like to express and to like to review about we have a term, a culture term named Gotong Royong. So it has to be a collaboration of Gotong Royong and Pentahelic toward the resilient socio-economic. This is just a few Indonesian in a nutshell. For the semester first of the 2020, and this data is getting in by 30th of June, we have about 268 million some populations, and it is the fourth most populous country. Yes? Hello, can you? Moment. Just a moment.
Yeah, I can see your slide, but I cannot hear anything from you now. Your voice is lost.
Can you hear me?
Okay, you can continue.
Hello?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. Indonesia is the fourth most populous country. Within the figures, we have about 200 something of under the working age population, 200 million something. And 14% of them is affected by the virus. So some of them is layoff, some of them is fired. And Indonesia have a 1,300 plus of ethnic group. It is a major, and then about 700 plus of mother language and 400,000 something island, the largest archipelago of country. And our EODB, the easy on doing business in Indonesia, is the rank 73 of among of 190 country. And we have developed already. If we compare to the 10 years ago, the rank is 126. And we are rich in natural resources like gold, copper, nickel, coal, bauxite, and oil and gas, geothermal energy, rainforest, various marine species, and a major exporter of crude, petroleum, and natural gas. Indonesia is one of the world's main suppliers of rubber, coffee, cocoa, palm oil. It also produces a wide range of other commodities such as sugar, tea, tobacco, copra, and species. And our present condition as a world is having turbulence, and we also agree that by the presentations of our participants or our panelists that we are facing at least two of the turbulence, like Industrial Revolution 4.0, and then the last is our COVID-19 enemy. And this has come to what we call a crisis for most of us, or some of us, we call this as a crisis. If we see the character of the crisis in Chinese character, we have two character, what we call as a Wei Zhi. Wei Zhi means probably Wei is dangerous, and then Zhi is what we call a opportunity. But some of academic didn't review it as a opportunity, but as a change point. That's why everything is changed in business and life. Yeah, this is what we have to actually keep now. Now we see the COVID-19 impact analysis from the risk rating of a HomeSpot, and it do a very high level, and the impact very moderate level and also low level. Some of detail is also present already just now, and what we say is FUCA is ongoing. FUCA is going on within our environment. Volatile change due to COVID are taking place every day, unpredictable, dramatic, and fast. Uncertainty also. No one can predict with confidence when the pandemic will end or when we'll have the cure or vaccine. Indonesians said to have the vaccine by the January, and probably at the time we hope that we are getting, and around we will be getting fine at probably in April or June. And complexity also, the pandemic is affecting all the aspect of life, including the healthcare, business, economic, and social life in a complex ways. Ambiguity, there is no best practice that organizations can follow to manage the challenge caused by the pandemic. Now, what we have because of that, the COVID-19 is pushing the company about 83% to scale the remote work, 84% to accelerate the digitalizations, and 50% to accelerate automations. And because of that, we need the serious attention from the Pentaholic. We have it every country. What we call consists of the Pentaholic is government, media, entrepreneurs, and then academics, and also a citizen as a community. Whereas the government as the political power, the citizen as a social power, and academics as the knowledge power. Media also offline and online. They will be take place. They have to take seriously condition within the FOCA ongoing. And so I would like to present about the 3R and collaborate 4P models, what we call all the pentaholic have to rethink, reshape, and reboot again and again. Rethink, reshape, and reboot for what have to do is in the presence of the business and the products, process, and the people. They have to do it continuously, have to do it constantly to rethink and reshape and reboot all the way down to FUCA conditions. Now we have a culture named Gotong Royong. Gotong means what means is a work, and Royong which means together. This term is derived from the culture of the village people who help each other when building house and moving. It's not like China, really move the house with the wheels, yeah, right, carrying them soldier on the stretcher from the Royong. Royong is just like a stem, just like a tall plant, like a coconut. Now what we do is meaning implied in Gotong Royong is working together or collaborate as a nation or as citizens of the world, like peace is doing, like Dr. T is doing right now. Bull eyes of a vision and mission that we must have all together. What are we going to do and what we are going to be in the future? And then adaptive to the code of conduct. I would like to agree with Dr. Stuart to reset the economic and reboot. Now that we will need to take the ethic in the action in the adaptive code of conduct. And then duties and responsibility are managed professionally and proportionally. The Gotong network is we have about a couple of points that identity politics, which can be done, which can be in a business or in a country, is a identity politics to achieve mission is a lamp and a shame, and that we cannot do that anymore. And each pentaholic should know their vision and mission, and then encouraging pentaholic creativity, reskilling and upskilling of competency based on knowledge, skill, and attitude is a must. Effective communication, bottom to the top, and then vertically or horizontally, and then making a decision as a team or as a country. Then 7 responsibility of each pentaholic have to take place. Okay, that is my presentations today. Thank you, Dr. T. Back to you again.
Actually, I like the word you shared about the Chinese word called Wei Ji, okay, which means crisis. Okay.
Yes.
So the Chinese say Wei means the danger and Ji means opportunities.
Ji is
right?
opportunity.
So that means that there is both danger and opportunity in a crisis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agree.
So thank you so much. So next, now I would like to call upon our last speakers of today. She's from Kyrgyzstan. Just hold a minute. Miss Shilan from Kyrgyzstan. So are you here?
She's around.
She's around. Miss Shilan, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, Miss Shilan. Yes. Yeah, Miss Shilan, she is a businesswoman, one of the successful businesswomen in the Kyrgyzstan, and she's also the one of the active members of the ruling party of the autonomous region of the Kyrgyzstan Democratic Party. So, Miss Shilan,
thank you.
Yeah, we can hear you, but I lost your visual. So can you turn on your camera?
Sorry?
Yeah, the camera.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I see you now. Maybe the connection on the network. Yes, I can see you now. But maybe your mic is mute now. Can you turn on your unmute your
Before
mic?
everything, I would like to thank.
I think it's a connection.
Maybe. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. Before everything.
Sorry, actually, the voice is not clear. Madam, your voice is not clear. We cannot hear you. Yeah, I think it will maybe some connection issues.
Thank you to be able to the participate. The voice. Do you hear me now?
It's breaking.
Okay. Do you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah. Hello. Before everything, I would like to thank you all for the opportunity to be able to participate in this conference. Hello?
Yes, go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay. And I am very excited to see the projects all of these regions can do together. Generally speaking, for Iraq, and especially the Kurdistan region, we have suffered a huge loss due to COVID-19, similarly to other countries globally, since we mostly rely on oil and the oil factories have stopped. The trading of oil has been interrupted. Nowadays, the price of oil is under the effect of COVID-19 and global economic issue. We are facing two wars right now, a war with COVID-19 and a war with economics. The economic status of every region has been declining, and the economic war is slowly increasing in dangers. The economic war has had a negative impact on oil, currency, and the stock market. In addition, investment have suffered a great loss. All of these problems requires a new economic solution, since the previous economic solution need to be adapted as the world is constantly evolving. My question is, if COVID-19 continues on to the next 2 to 3 years, what will the global economic climate lead to? Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for your sharing, to inform us the situation in Iraq now. And friends, ladies and gentlemen, so we have come to the end of plenary session 3. And I also want to inform everyone that today's forum, okay, will be all the videos and recording will be uploaded, in the YouTube and also in the Peace website. Okay, thank you very much for everyone, for all the speakers, for your time to be with us today. And I would like to now pass the section back to our MC.
Sure, thank you, Dr. Tees, and thanks for all the speakers for your fruitful sharings. Again, please join me in express our utmost appreciations to all the plenary session moderators and speakers for their sharings on their views and ideas. It was indeed a fruitful one. Thank you. Life post-COVID-19 is likely to be a life with COVID-19. Economic recoveries and rebuts in post-COVID-19 era deemed equally essentials, along with the public health initiative in containing the spread of virus. As such, PEACE has taken the proactive initiative in creating a FEC virtual integrated business centers. Again, let us invite Professor Dr. Chow Jen Huang to share with us the details about VIBCs. Dr. Huang, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all the honorable speakers for whole day's presentation. So we identified all issues regarding, the challenges and opportunities for the global society. So today I would like to share you, that we identified, as we mentioned, the risk and opportunity. So after we recognize this risk and opportunity, allow me to initiating the virtual and integrating business center for the COVID-19 response. Why this one? Because, as we discussed today, COVID-19 changed the landscape of economic globalization and so on and so forth. So we need new, the initiatives or project to overcome these problems and set up the solutions and take actions. That's extremely important. Otherwise, we can't, to find the solutions, to find opportunity, either to overcome the climate change issues or the health issues or the young generation, so on and so forth. So we suggest that the FEC Business Forum will need to integrate and aggregate all resources from members and aim to establish industrial cooperation and match, the members' enterprise, business request. So it will help, all the either SMEs, from the cross-border, supply chain, and we can aim the target market. As we discussed, the supply chain, was, destroyed by the COVID-19. So this is a good opportunity for us to use the virtual integrated, the platform to gathering our resources together, and then we can find out the supply and demand, so we can find something new. So based on this, the aims of the business and economic platform, we can collaborate the business ability to drive, the new business ecosystem. Being a members, we got to build up our own ecosystem for the new opportunities and economic impacts. And based on this, we can do the matching, arrangement from information sharing, involve in, the industry ecosystem, and then we build up our own partnership and build up our own supply chain. So the devices, we can do the B2B or B2C. It means, we can do the online and offline business. So all this, business model, we can explore new opportunity in emerging, the new service and industrial opportunity, including health. Many speakers touch upon the issue regarding the health. So we can provide, the medical devices, or, that we can deal with the green energy, as Mr. Knight promoted in African countries, and also for agribusiness and e-commerce. So this is a good platform, for all the members to promote this one. So the launching the FEC virtual integrated, platform is very important. So we got to set up a virtual platform as a service. So I call it a VPAS for all stakeholders in this, the mechanism. And based on this mechanism, we can integrate innovation technologies, products as a new value-added methods for exploring new demand for COVID-19 response. So this one, that we can interconnect the stakeholder as, the close industry interactions, and then we just move forward by hand. So this is a chart that I initiate, this is a function. In the core is the VIBC, the virtual integrated business center, this one. And based on this one, we can form a partnership, and we can build up the new value chains. So this one you can come from the resources from R&D innovation. Innovation means we can provide a new product, new services, and we can build up the so-called community building based on the FEC Future Economic Community. So it will serve for either the micro, meso, or macro, level needs. So this one, we can, combine with, the demand side, which means the buyers. So for instance, if you come from the Southeastern countries in Malaysia or in Thailand, we can identify the domestic market or global market need. So all this one will, surrounded by the VIBC, the Virtual Integrated Business Center. So this business center will deal with either B2B, B2C, or B2C. This is kind of new opportunity. So all this one can upgrade the new value chain among FEC members. So all this one got to based on the digitalization and the intelligence we share together. So this is so-called, I find one of the key solutions to kick off the importance to kick off the virtual integrated business center for collaboration and the transformation, in facing the challenges from the COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Huang. This was indeed an interesting initiative. Moving right along, we would like to invite all the distinguished guests to be on stage for launching ceremonies of the FEC VIBCs.
All right. Okay. So we are ready. Initiate.
Okay, on my count. 3, 2, 1. Congratulations, and here is official launchings for the FEC VIBC. We hope this platform will benefit all the parties. Thank you. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, after a day-long discussion and forum, I hope you had bring back some insight and ideas from all our panelists. Last but not least, I would like to again invite Dr. Michael Hings to wrap up the session for today. Dr. Michael, the floor is now yours.
I'm very excited, I mean, it's not every day I keep awake for like 6 hours, 7 hours. Yeah. I hear the speakers, I look at the topic that we address today is very relevant. In fact, many speakers have highlighted very innovative ideas, right, on how we can tackle and engage the post-COVID world. The sustainability development goals are very much on top of our mind as we look at the solution. The SDG basically was humanity's blueprint for a brand new world and COVID-19. Essentially bring that world nearer. And when we look at solutions from India, from Indonesia, right, and the other speakers, I think what we hear is that people are working very hard separately. So at the end, the idea of a virtual integrated business center was a very good idea. It's a good spin-off from the FEC. When we started last year, we did not foresee the COVID-19. We knew that the future world is a collaborative, is a cooperative alliance, a community of learning, right? We hope to have more people in the future FEC conferences so that we can share more. One of the opportunities allowed by the VIBC is really to create a knowledge base, a learning community. Because the world is moving very fast and the world is agile, changing all the time. There's nothing, no solution, however good, will remain stable and permanent for long. So learning is continuous, right? Learning is continuous and solution comes all the time. And we must be prepared for it. Having a business council, we now have to put meat into it, right? And we have defined, all the speakers have defined various sectors and areas, and the areas move from agriculture, from trees, right? From a new way of looking at sustainability using biochar, a new way of looking at reforestation using a new tree, right? Pioneered by 9, I think that potential have yet to be fully developed, and we should help the Africans, right, to develop it so that the rest of the world could benefit. The use of technology, the leverage of technology is very important, right? We shouldn't shun it. The world tomorrow is changing even today. So things like blockchain, automation, right, robotics, artificial intelligence is something where the FEC as well as the VIBC must tackle. I think Professor Wang is the best person. Yeah, I heard his vision last year, and he has developed and adapted to the new situation, right? Peace, led by the visionary 9, Chandun's 9, you know, have blazed the path forward, all right? And I hope that peace will continue to develop. Hopefully next year, we will not be virtual, but we will be physical as well as virtual, you know. 100 of us could gather physically, joined by a few hundred virtually around the world, okay? So I think the forum will not end today, but it will continue, right? With maybe interest group, small seminars, workshops, right? Exchanging of ideas, creating a center, knowledge center. Okay, so I'm really happy, and I think on behalf of Peace, I like to thank everybody for attending. Really, today is very fruitful, right? Considering the circumstances, people have tried very hard to get involved, to contribute. You know, we have heard so many ideas. Okay, and as we listen to the troubles in Armenia, we hope them well. Minister Aman, yeah, I think he's in a very difficult position. We wish him very well. So I shall end here in the summary. I think all of us will take away valuable pointers, right? And we look forward to the execution, you know, of the VIBC, right? Thank you everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Michaels, for bringing us through the highlights and key points of today's forums. Again, thank you. Before we conclude today's program, again, I would like to invite the President of Peace, Kun Chanasdan, for a closing remark. Kun Chanasdan, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you so much. Excellency, Madam, and ladies and gentlemen, finally we come to the final of today. Dr. Michael, take my seat already. I prepared a lot of speech, but you are already done for me. Thank you so much. And especially Dr. T. Singh. I have no more words, just want to say thank you for you. And this afternoon, in the beginning of the conference, I talk about the African EMS, commercial value, ecological value, and how it works to fight against global warming for all of us. We have to stay with the nature. We cannot fight with the nature because we cannot win. But now the project created to stay, to survive, to combine with the nature, like our mom. Now, mom sick. Try to do something to recover our mom, our mother, earth, and finally, our mom will take care of all of us. I didn't close my final of the project African EMS this conference because of I will go to the next session in VIBC with Dr. Huang. That is how it's set up and how it effective and about the financial of the project. We will see. We will come back to see us everybody again in VIBC. Thank you everybody to join our conference today. This is maybe last for this conference, but it's the beginning of what we combine together. We will join hand, leave no one behind. This is our philosophy, and we hope to do this. Again, thank you for Deputy Prime Minister of Nepal, Madam, to join us, Professor Orbanji, and many participants. Thank you, everybody, and Merry Christmas. See you again in the next New Year's. Hope will be the good year for every of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Kun Chanasdan. Ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up our program for today. I hope you have found these afternoon presentations informative and useful. Again, on behalf of the organizing committees, I would like to thank you all for making time in your busy schedules to join us here today and making the second FEC Business Forum a great success. It's been our pleasure to host this event, and I would like to take this opportunity to wish you a pleasant evening and good night. See you again next year.
Bye-bye. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Bye. Yeah. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.